Loud. Nathan, how's things?
Hi Craig, good to see you.
You too. It's a pleasure to have you on board today. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody who's listening and watching this recording today?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Nathan Ott. I'm the Chief Polisher at the GC Index, and the GC Index is an organometric that shows how individuals, teams, and organisations can maximise their impact to business objectives.
Okay, and the reason we've got Nathan on the recording today is obviously Nathan runs a GC Index and have experienced a spike in activity within their business. So today we're just going to run through what Nathan's business looked like before, how Nathan, his partner Simon, mainly his partner Simon was focused on the worst case scenario, and then Nathan helped spin that on its head. And then we'll just go through why Nathan's business, the GC Index, is helping remote working and people to make a bigger impact whilst working from home.
Okay,
So
yeah, sounds
Nathan,
good.
cool. If you just want to run through what business was like for you before all the coronavirus happened, just so we can get a picture of what you look like, that'd be good.
Yeah, so the GC Index is effectively we're still in a startup mode. So we actually started the research in the GC Index in 2013, about 4 or so years of research about how people best make an impact to business. We launched that in 2017, and it really started to resonate with the market. And the GC is different to what organisations have seen before. So the first sort of 18 months, 2 years, bringing us to the beginning of 2020, it was a lot about us making a market. We're showing something that's different. People were being successful and we were growing. It was still something that it was different, and people were in their comfort zones doing what they'd ordinarily done with their people and their business. So when so at the beginning of 2020, it was a case of, well, we've just got to carry on going, and the market will change and follow us. And we anticipated just good, steady growth, year-on-year growth. That's what we anticipated at the beginning of 2020. But that did change when COVID-19 hit.
Okay, so when did you first hear about coronavirus? When did that first come onto your radar?
Well, I think I was probably like most people, listening to the messages. You hear about something in November, December, and then you're hearing the messages that in January, February, this is not really anything to worry about. But then you start seeing the panic, and I think you've got, at that point, I can't remember exactly when it was, it might have been mid-February, we're starting to think, well, either this is really exaggerated panic, media panic, or this virus is more deadly than we're being letting on to. So that's when you start thinking. And I think that's when my mind changed. I was dismissing it as just panic, really, probably like most people based on the messages. But then that flipped, and you think, right, this is going to be something serious.
Okay, so you kind of flipped last minute, middle of February, beginning of March, that kind of time. Were you doing anything between January and February, or were you just keeping it on the peripheral?
No, I think it's easy in hindsight to say some things. But I think in that time, with businesses in January and February time, particularly in the UK, and we're just thinking this is just something that is, it's pretty bad, but it will pass.
It's not in our possible.
And they were saying it's just like the flu. So I don't think that we didn't really have any focus on how this would necessarily impact business in the way that it has, probably until you start seeing those first announcements of what's going on in Italy, Spain, lockdowns and such like that. Then you start thinking this is going to have an effect on the economy and business.
Okay, so what was your plan then? So you started seeing the news about Spain and Italy going into lockdowns and whatnot, and deaths increasing in the UK. How did you react then? What was the plan to go forward?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when we sort of knew this was serious, and I don't know exactly the dates, but it would have been when we were, this is going to be serious.
Probably March, end of February, beginning of March.
Probably March time. We had a board meeting, and my one of my business partners, Simon. He was on the UK board of SAP, at IBM. He's grown very, very big businesses, and he was in, I would say, panic mode in some ways, in the way that he'd been through the dot-com crash, he'd been through the businesses of the financial crisis. So he turned completely into survival mode, assuming no one's going to buy, assuming we're not going to drive any revenues, assuming we've got to cut costs, and this is going to be really bad for business. So that was his take on things. And
so what was the plan then? What was the plan then? So if you're in just to elaborate on survival mode, so you're not expecting to trade. So what were you expecting to do? Was it just keep as much cash in the bank, change with suppliers? What was the plan there?
It's the same as most organisations were getting on. Cash became king. Cut down any discretionary expenditure. Make sure that looking at some potential forecasting of some plans. How can we survive? Yeah, talking to all of our partners and suppliers that this is what's happening. We're going to have to down service. We had that conversation, Craig, at that time, and just be very open and honest and prepare for the worst. That was Simon's view, because he was basing, and in our language, he's a strategist implementer, so he will base decisions on things that have gone on before. So his only view was, it's going to be bad. I've seen it happen. Okay. My view is very different. And I think that's why we work well together. So if you look at, again, the GC index model, I'm much more on the right-hand side. I'm a polisher game changer. So I live in a world of possibilities and opportunities. And I really saw this as an opportunity for the GC index. And that was the discussion that we had at the board meeting. And we debated that. One around problems, which was Simon's view. I was much more around possibilities and opportunity.
Okay, and this difference in thinking between the two of you, I mean, I'm probably more like Simon. Like when we had the lockdown on the Monday, I think it was 23rd of March, I was thinking, oh gosh, literally as Simon was, this is going to be bad. Let's lock everything down, cut any spending we don't need and all that. So do you think that's ingrained in somebody, or is it to be that way? Or could somebody literally just flip a light bulb and go to your type of thinking? And what's the process to get from worst case to possibility?
Yeah, well, look, you need people around you. We're Simon and I are fundamentally different. And then we do a lot around internal dialogue with the GC index, things that people say to themselves. So a strategist is a negative internal dialogue, which like Simon will be, I don't know what to do here. Yeah, I can only base what the decisions I'm going to make on what I've known before. So okay. That's what I'm going to do. Or a positive view from a strategist internal dialogue would be, right, I know exactly what we need to do here. This is how we're going to be successful. This is what we need to do. But to flip Simon from negative to positive, if you will, was I explained the possibilities that I see. Yeah, so the GC index is changing markets, is changing the world, in just to be quite grand, but not delusional. And what better way to accelerate changing the world than when the world fundamentally changes? And that's what COVID-19 did. So what the GC index does is it aligns people how they best make an impact at work, roles, teams, and organizations. And never before, in my mind, have organizations needed something like the GC index to do that, with distributed working from home, people feeling a bit impotent and not potent at work because their world has changed. The GC index helps organizations drive that. So once I share my possibilities, this is where I think actually the opportunity lies. Explain that with Simon. Then he saw a very, very clear strategy about how we would, take a spike in demand in revenues around COVID-19 response in the first instance for organizations.
Okay, and how are those two different plans, how have they panned out? So Simon's original worst case and your optimistic case, how have they planned out against actual reality?
Well, in reality, you run them in tandem to start off with, because it could be that somebody like me is seen as delusional. as well
Okay.
in that notion, because you're always anything's possible. If you live in a world of possibilities, then and see opportunity in everything, you can be seen as delusional. So, but we've worked with each other for a while now, so we run the both in tandem. So yes, we cut costs. Yes, we cut back supply. We minimal cost expenditure, keep an eye on cost, but really develop solutions for our partners. We've got over 120 partners that deliver services with the GC Index. So it started showing them messaging solutions about how they, with their services and the GC Index, can help organizations respond to COVID-19, remote working, mindset, mindfulness, resilience of their employees, all these things. So we did the both in tandem in the first instance, because that's the prudent thing to do.
Okay, and there's two key words there you've just said, which lead me on to the next point about mindset and resilience. I mean, with Simon being worst case scenario focused and you a lot more optimistic, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how is that gap bridged? How does somebody who's naturally worst case scenario bridge that gap to become a lot more optimistic?
Well, look, I think again, it's back to internal dialogue.
If that's even possible.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I mean, a game changer, a possibility-centered person could also be pessimistic, as well. The pessimistic, this has limited my creativity. No one's listening to me now because about my ideas, because they're all focused on COVID-19. And I could have taken that approach. So I think there is pessimism and optimism across all of the GC Index framework. I think what we focus on is that ultimately we're all human doings, I would say. And when we're doing something that we're good at and we enjoy it and it's valued, that's the most important thing, then we start becoming human beings. Then we start becoming potent, arguably positive. And I think all we had to do with Simon was give him, this is what I think is the opportunity, what might look like in practice. And then I'm saying, like COVID-19 response, you've got organizations that really have got to rally around their people, get their people feeling good, get their people feeling potent. This is how I think we can do it. And then once he had that in a structured plan and a way of our COVID-19 response plan, he was away. He was
getting it out of his head onto the
you could
document.
see it was clear. He was clear then. And once it's clear, when a strategist is clear about what needs to be done, then they're positive. Then they're potent. And it was just flicking that switch.
Okay, that's very interesting. So leads on to the next point now is what kind of results have you seen then, and why do you think that is? And I guess touching on again why the GC indexes help people through other businesses through this period.
Well, firstly, as a team, as a group, we're all very aligned, and we're seeing some really great results, new clients, new initiatives, new partners, new ways of using the GC index. But we wouldn't have been so cohesive if we didn't have that clear strategy and plan that Simon brought. It's not about me just running around going, guys, there's loads of opportunity here, we can do this, this and this. And everyone else going, well, how are we doing this? Nathan's just being confusing. Yeah.
Sure.
So that alignment that Simon has brought has been so we're, as a team, we're very aligned in what we can do. It's also for our partners. So a lot of our partners will do leadership coaching, team development, and that budget went. No organization is really spending a lot of money now on team coaching, training.
Sure, yeah.
They're not doing that. So, and that's the livelihoods of a lot of our partners. So again, it's showing our partners that this is not a nice to have training exercise. This is a business imperative of companies being productive with their people through a crisis. So the messaging changed. That's now given confidence to all of our partners who were quite negative, again, because their world had been taken apart. Now we're seeing them coming to us a lot more with opportunities. And we're seeing the way that we penetrate organizations very quickly. We're penetrating organizations quicker. Decisions are made quicker as well.
Okay.
For us. Is that helpful? I mean, I appreciate
Yeah.
I can sometimes just ramble in a stream of consciousness. So do keep me on track.
No, that's good. And so I guess the key message there is that organizations are still spending, even though you've said, a majority of their business has been, almost wiped out overnight from this. They're still spending with you. There's not something sneaky going on. You haven't cut your prices to the bone or anything. You're still continuing as you were before, and people are still buying.
No. So what you've seen are three phases really of organisations. You've got organisations that are in survival mode. That's when they all hit. They all hit survival. Some might still be in that. So you're dealing with, are we going to go bust? Have I still got a job? Have I, where that type of stuff. They're in survival mode. We saw a lot of organisations quickly move out of that adapted a lot quicker. So they were there in a new normal. Whatever that is, So okay, this is how we're going to work now. Meetings done on Zoom. Okay, we're going to do our meetings on Zoom, do digitally. We don't need our office. We've got to work from home, whatever it might be. But then you've got others that are making opportunity out of this. As well. There are some real big opportunities for coming. In one example is a friend of mine has a very local fruit and veg shop. It's more of a hobby. It's more of a hobby. It's down in Devon somewhere, and they just produced an online shop, right? Just made it online, did it in a couple of weeks, and then they saw revenues for the week go up 80%. He thought, just online, and he thought, this is a bit strange. It might just be the spike because of what's going on, but the trend continued to the point now that the business has got so much bigger than they can actually handle. So they've got different problems now around logistics and deliveries, and so, but they saw an opportunity. The other way of doing it would have been, it's a problem, let's just close the shop and see if we can get a grant and pay the rent and see what happens. So there are differences, and we're seeing that across all different businesses really. So it's about finding those businesses that are spending, are surviving, and thriving in some instances.
And what do you think makes a difference between those who are in the third type of business, the ones who are in survival mode, and those who are in level one who are growing and finding new opportunities? Because obviously you've got restaurants and things like that who are going to be in sector 3 as we call it, and they've got no chance of really doing anything right now except for home deliveries. So what do you think is the difference?
You've got different things. I mean, I've got my local pizza guys here. I mean, they've got an abundance and a warehouse full of flour, for example. So rather than selling pizzas, they're selling flour because no one can get hold of any flour, for example, basic stuff. Before they move then into deliveries and they can do stuff. They'll sign up with Deliveroo or Uber Eats, or they'll do their own takeaways. That's a good example. Our printer, I was chatting to they got all about printing in London, and overnight printing kind of stopped because everything's moving digitally, so therefore we don't need to print stuff. But he has moved to branding signage for offices coming back to work, floor signs, COVID-19 signage, logo face masks, so people on sites can know who's who. And it's just picked up, and he's actually been busier than ever just by doing that.
How quick are you seeing these transitions happen?
It just is on a case by case basis, really. I mean, say the fruit and veg shop was literally 2 weeks. He said it was 2 weeks. Another one of our partners is a consultancy, and they do a lot of leadership consultancy, but they have bodies on site, so it's. They've got about 70, 80 people on site at one major bank, for example, doing leadership development training. And overnight, that went. Now, we work with them around a digital solution to deliver team remote working solutions. Took us 2 weeks to develop that, and they launched it. And within a week, they had 6 new clients, replacing the 80 people plus that they would have had on that site. They've now deployed them to go and deliver that remote working program remotely. So that was 3 weeks. So
it's quite quick.
Yeah, it can be, of course. Yeah, I mean, certainly in your world right now, there must be a lot of opportunity because of the need and to do things digitally.
Yeah, especially with wholesalers. We've seen a lot of wholesalers who just normally sell to distributors. Obviously, the distribution channels, as good as closed or dead for some of them. So they're going B2C instead of B2B now. So we're seeing a hell of a lot of that picking up right now. And this kind of leads me on to the next point is how the GC index is helping your clients through this time, the people using the GC index, because so typically you take a member of staff on, you'd be 6 to 9 months before you find out the impact that they're making. So how has the GC index helped businesses achieve that a lot quicker?
Yes, it's a good point, because you're right. When you work well with somebody, yeah, and I don't mean we get along because we like football or music or a pint down the pub. I mean, actually, where you actually work well and deliver work well together, those people around you. But realistically, that to build that working relationship, takes 6 months, 9 months, year, longer. Yeah. Now, a lot of that has historically been done face-to-face meetings, social events, and that's what helps build that working relationship. That's gone. And what the GC index does is, when you look at how people approach work through our framework, how someone's going to approach work within hours, days, maybe weeks, but it's very, very quickly. So now you've got organizations that need all of these people to work together. They can't bring them together. Having the GC index, a basic language and framework for approach to work, approach to impacting teams, impacting roles, organizations, it makes it very quickly to know how two people are going to work well together to deliver the best results. Okay,
could you give a few examples of that? Any real life case studies? I mean, would that help as well with, if somebody's recruiting tomorrow, would the GC index framework be able to literally start from day one, from tomorrow, remote working with literally not seeing this person face to face?
Yeah, yes. I mean, look, it's a data point and it's a language and a framework. It's not the only thing, right? Okay, but it's a very useful language and framework to accelerate that. You mentioned recruitment. We have a multi-year strategic partnership with the Recruitment and Employment Confederation. So they look after about 80% of the UK's recruitment industry, about 3,500 recruitment firms, about 500 plus big companies in their good recruitment campaign. So we work with them around a bunch of solutions that recruitment firms can use, organizations can use for recruiting, that, yes, looks at the impact that someone's going to bring to a role. Yeah, and it's a little bit like, a football team or a sports team, really. You might have someone that can kick and run, yeah, and they've been kicking and running for a long period of time, and they're extroverted or introverted, nice person. That's lovely, and that's really nice, and it's helpful. What we're saying is that person is a striker. That they want to impact the team by scoring goals. That's how they're going to impact your team, make them the best they can be. This is a defender. This is a midfielder. This is how they're going to impact the team. It's the same with the GC index. We have 5 core proclivities: strategist, game changer, or ideas focused, impact through ideas; structured ideas with strategist; unstructured ideas with the game changer; polisher and implementer are task focused. Implementers want to get things done. Polishers want to get things done well. Playmakers want to work through relationships. So if I've got a role where I need someone just to come into project manager and all they've got to do is just do stuff, get stuff done, it's pretty clear what they've got to do, you'd want someone with a strong implementer proclivity to do that, for example. Or if we want someone to drive quality, improve process, improve things, improve the projects, you'd want someone with a strong polisher proclivity. Now, I'm speaking at a very high level. We all do all of these. We all have energies for all of these, and there are 100,000 different permutations. But at a high level, that's what we're saying, yeah. If you want someone to come in and do something radically different into your business, if they haven't got, a good level of game changer proclivity, they won't do that. And they'll feel burnt out. They'll be de-energized if you're telling them to go and do things radically different. They won't do that. Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, one of the reasons I wanted you on this recording for, is because really, when it comes to marketing and things, you haven't really changed what you're doing, have you? You haven't done anything massively different. We've had clients who run offline events, which have now gone to Zoom. So do you think your spike in activity has come through just almost the downturn and the immediate need for it, almost like the light switch turning on?
Yeah, so it goes back to the bit at the beginning that I said we're changing a market. This is new, and it's resonating, and we've always done things online, digitally. We've done face-to-face stuff too. We've just moved them online. It's easy because half our business has been online anyway. But when you're trying to change a market with something new, a lot of your clients and prospects will go, yeah, that sounds interesting. I know we need it, but we're going to carry on doing this. I haven't got time to change. We've got to carry on doing this. I think the spike through COVID has been that, oh God, differently now. What we've done before with our people hasn't really worked. Therefore, now we'll got the energy and time to look at the GC index. And we've had a number of partners that will call us that our partners have been a little bit like that, not all of them, some of them. And, they've come back to me and gone, we should have done this a bit earlier, shouldn't we? And we're like, oh yeah, you should have done. But that's okay. We can do it now.
Okay, and crystal ball time now. 6 to 9 months. Where do you see things going?
Well, there's a number of trains of thought there. I mean, you're hearing a lot of rhetoric now that the world will never be the same again, which is probably true in parts. But equally, as human beings, we're creatures of habit. So I wonder if what it's like. It might be first 3, 4, 5 weeks. Or people are doing things radically differently. They'll settle into a new normal, whatever that means. But they might revert back to old habits. I think it's businesses. I see it in three core ways for a business. You're going to have stuff that you've always done and will carry on doing, regardless at the end of this. Still got to get my accounts in on time. Financial year still in April. I've still got to recruit, whatever it might be.
Still got to pay the VAT bill.
Still got to pay the VAT bill. Still got to do that, right? Then there'll be stuff that we have to incrementally change and do differently, but incrementally. So it might be having meetings on Zoom. It might be not printing so much. We'll do this on digital. There'll be a bunch of stuff. People working more remotely, and then there'll be stuff that organisations will have to do radically differently. And that could be a change in business model. It could be anything. But when we've still got to keep those 3 things in mind, and it's then how do we align our people and our businesses to address those 3 things? Things we've got to carry on doing. Things we've got to incrementally change. Things we've got to do radically different. And I think that will be really the best way of looking at it now and in 6 to 9 months' time, I think.
Okay, so are you playing it day by day, week by week, month by month? What's the thinking behind that?
Well, look, if you read all the research, and we've had this conversation before, I mentioned the Harvard Business Review study around entrepreneurs and businesses. A small business or an entrepreneur is never more than 6 months away from bankruptcy, whoever they are. So we've got a nice long-term view, but you've got to take it day by day, month by month, and I think that's just good business practice to do so, really. No, we never relax. Yes, if only. And so just to summarize then, is there any tips you'd give to the people watching? Anything around strategy, thinking, how to get from being in that survival mode to being a bit more optimistic? Is there anything you'd like to summarize there? Look, not really. There's a lot. You've got to do what works for you. Firstly, when it comes to looking after yourself, I mean, the old adage, you've got to look after yourself before you can look after others. And so there will be that whole world of eat well, sleep well, don't drink too much. Don't get. There's that. I focus much more on the business impact, and we do that through the lens of the GC index, and just find those people around you that can help you with your perspective. I've written a piece around this last week. If you do find yourself being that strategist person that isn't sure what to do and having negative internal dialogue and everything's going to be terrible because what happened in the past, talk to someone that's more possibility centered. If you're a big implementer that wants to achieve stuff and find out you're not achieving what you're achieving, you're working really hard, you're getting burnt out, pick a strategist that will help you prioritize. There's different ways of using people around you to make yourself feel potent again. But we're humans, right? We're humans, and we go through these emotions, but we just try and base it in this term of impact, which gets people through.
Okay. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think might be of value to everybody watching and listening?
I would like to ask you the same questions. Really, have you given your audience those questions? How are you finding things?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I mean, we've never stopped marketing for years and years and years. And I was like a bit like Simon. I was like, on the 23rd, I was like, this is going to be it now. Obviously, I probably shouldn't say this because it's a bit geeky, but I've studied recessions, the past, like the Black Friday, .com. I love the .com crash. I thought it was very interesting to watch documentaries on. I know it's pretty sad. So I was probably overly prepared for something like this to happen and react to it. I think I found that I'm better during this time, during firefighting, rather than it being easy, like the hunter rather than the hunted. I prefer that to always be kept on my toes rather than it being easy and, business just almost running into momentum naturally. I prefer that the fire beneath me to get me going and be focused and reacting to everything around me rather than just sitting back and things being good. I've actually found it quite an interesting time. It's been interesting to go through my first proper downturn and be aware of it, because in 2008 I was probably a bit too young to understand what was going on, and this time really understanding it and knowing what I know about recession, it's been interesting to see how it goes. But there's been lots of activity. All the SEO we were doing over the last 12 to 18 months has really paid off, and we're getting a lot of inquiries I never thought we'd get from businesses who are looking to pivot, basically, that they're B2B and they want to go B2C. So we're getting lots of inquiries for that. So we're helping with that growth. So it's been interesting, and referrals as well. I found, just being in touch with people saying, how you doing? Do you know anybody who's struggling? Can you introduce us to them? And we just see if we can help them. And just doing a 15-minute Zoom chat. Yeah. And just saying, look, this is a problem you've got. We've seen other clients with this. Here's a solution for it. To go away and implement on it and see how that helps your business. Yeah.
I mean, look, in terms of referrals, we've been extraordinarily happy with everything that you guys have done. Overly happy. You've done a fantastic job for us, and we always recommend. And as you know, you've seen us grow.
For sure.
Demands of services, and we're very, very thankful for all of your support and helping us get to where we are now. And anything we can do to help you guys, as you know, always there to help. But I think for a lot of organisers, the future will be bright. There will be opportunity. Just got to find it.
Yeah. Yes. No, I appreciate that, Nathan. Unless there's anything else you'd like to add or share?
No, this is great. Thank you very much. As I say, Perfect. If you need anything else from us and how we can help you, then do let us know. But again, just thank you for inviting me today, and thank you for all your great work and your team. And a special shout out to Rehan. Thank you very much indeed for all of his work. So thanks very much indeed.
We'll edit that bit out about Rehan.
No, leave it in.
If anybody wants to get in touch with you, we'll put these links below. How is it best for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, can get in touch with me directly via LinkedIn. Pretty approachable. The gcindex.com. We've got some wonderful forms that you guys have created for us to get in touch with. So just get in touch. I'll give you my email if you wish, but LinkedIn's probably the easiest way these days, or contact us via the website directly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll put your website URL and your LinkedIn below this video, so anyone who wants to get in touch can do. And thanks again, Nathan. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye now.
Good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.